Right now, there is a completely legal trapdoor built into your 401k and IRA. And the worst part? You won't know it's there until your money is already gone. Imagine this. It's a random Tuesday. You pour your morning coffee, open your laptop, and log into your brokerage account. You played by the rules. You worked 40 years to build that nest egg. But today, your balance is gone. Instead, a red banner flashes across your screen. Account frozen. Access denied. Heart pounding, you call customer service. But instead of help, a cold voice delivers the ultimate gut punch. I'm sorry, by law, we cannot discuss the status of this account with you at this time. Millions of Americans sleep soundly believing their retirement accounts are untouchable, a federal fortress immune to banking chaos and government overreach. They are dead wrong. Today, we are exposing the legal loopholes banks use to freeze your life savings and the exact steps you must take right now to stop them. But as we sit here today, the rules of the financial system have fundamentally changed. Behind the scenes, a combination of algorithmic debanking, aggressive tax enforcement loopholes, and obscure state confiscation laws are putting millions of retirement accounts at risk of being frozen, liquidated, or seized entirely. And the most terrifying part? In many cases, it is completely legal, and it happens without a single judge ever looking at your case. In this deep dive analysis, we are going to pull back the curtain on the exact legal mechanisms that institutions and the government use to freeze or seize your retirement funds. We will expose the ERISA illusion, the silent threat of state escheatment, and the rise of AI-driven compliance freezes. More importantly, you cannot afford to be a victim of a system you don't understand. By the end of this video, you will have a bulletproof, step-by-step playbook to shield your 401k and IRA from being frozen, keeping your wealth exactly where it belongs, in your hands. If you value your financial freedom, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and pay close attention. Let's dive in. To understand how your retirement can be seized, you first have to understand the false sense of security most investors live under. If you ask any financial advisor how safe your 401k is, they will likely toss around a 5-letter acronym, ERISA. ERISA stands for the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. This is a federal law designed to protect your employer-sponsored retirement plans from dishonest practices and, most famously, from creditors. If you get sued because you accidentally crash your car into a Ferrari, or if you fall deeply into credit card or medical debt, ERISA acts as a titanium shield. General creditors are strictly prohibited from touching your ERISA-qualified 401k. Because of this, millions of Americans assume their retirement funds are completely invincible. But there is a massive, gaping loophole in this titanium shield. ERISA protects you from private creditors. It does absolutely nothing to protect you from the ultimate creditor, the federal government. If you owe unpaid taxes, the IRS possesses sweeping legal authority to bypass your ERISA protections entirely and levy your 401k or IRA. Now, the IRS won't do this over a $500 math error on your tax return. But if you fall behind on taxes, undergo an audit that results in a massive, unexpected tax bill, or face penalties for a failed business, the IRS will initiate a collection process. Typically, they start with less aggressive tactics, garnishing your wages or freezing your standard bank accounts. But if those avenues don't satisfy the debt, or if you ignore their letters, they will go straight for the jugular. Under the Internal Revenue Code, if you ignore a final notice of intent to levy, often designated as Letter 1058 or LT11, the IRS can legally force your plan administrator to liquidate your retirement assets and send the cash directly to the Treasury. And here is where a bad situation turns into an absolute nightmare. When the IRS seizes money from your 401k or traditional IRA, that forced seizure is considered a withdrawal. This means the money they take is added to your taxable income for that year. Furthermore, if you are under the age of 59 and a half, the IRS will still normally charge you the standard 10% early withdrawal penalty on the money they forced you to take out. Let that sink in. You lose the money to pay the debt, you get taxed on the money you lost, and you get penalized for losing it early. It is a financial death spiral that can wipe out decades of savings in a matter of weeks. While the IRS uses the law to seize your money, the banking system uses algorithms to freeze it. Over the last few years, a terrifying trend known as debanking has accelerated. Following massive banking collapses and heavy federal scrutiny, banks are terrified of being fined by regulators for facilitating financial crimes. To protect themselves, financial institutions rely heavily on AI systems to monitor your accounts for compliance with anti-money laundering (AML) laws and the Bank Secrecy Act. Here is how this threatens your retirement. Let's say you retire and decide to buy a property overseas. You wire a large sum of money from your bank account to a foreign real estate broker. Or perhaps you move a large amount of cash from your self-directed IRA to invest in a private business. The bank's algorithm doesn't see a retiree buying a dream home. It sees a sudden, uncharacteristic large transfer that matches the typology of money laundering. Instantly, the algorithm flags your profile and files a suspicious activity report, or SAR. Without human intervention, the bank automatically freezes your entire financial profile. And because modern finance is so interconnected, if your checking account, your brokerage account, and your IRA are all held at the same mega institution, the freeze applies to everything. When you call the bank to clear up the misunderstanding, you will hit a brick wall. Under federal law, if a bank files a suspicious activity report, they are strictly prohibited from tipping off the customer. The customer service representative legally cannot tell you why your account is frozen, who ordered the freeze, or when it will be lifted. You might assume that the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, is the one freezing your money. Actually, FinCEN itself doesn't freeze bank accounts. In fact, scammers frequently impersonate FinCEN officials in emails claiming your assets are frozen to extort you. The terrifying reality is that your own bank initiates the freeze to protect themselves from FinCEN's regulatory wrath. You are completely locked out of your own retirement funds until their internal risk department slowly clears your name. If the IRS levy is the loud, aggressive threat, our next risk is the silent killer. It's a centuries-old legal doctrine called escheatment, and it is quietly draining millions from American retirement accounts without the owners ever realizing it. Escheatment is the legal process by which abandoned or unclaimed property is transferred to the state government. How does this happen to a retirement account? Very easily. Let's say you worked at a company for 5 years in your 20s. You contributed to a 401k, but when you left for a better job, you forgot to roll it over. You moved to a new house, changed your phone number, and forgot all about that old account. Years later, your old employer decides to terminate their 401k plan. By law, They have to pay out all participants. They try to mail you a notice, but it bounces back. They send an email, but you don't use that address anymore. Under Department of Labor guidelines, if a plan fiduciary cannot locate you after a reasonable search during a plan termination, or if you have a small dormant balance, they can legally transfer your retirement funds to a state unclaimed property fund. This is where the financial damage becomes catastrophic. When your assets are escheated, the state doesn't just hold your mutual funds or stocks. They liquidate your investments into cash. First, this means your money is ripped out of the stock market. If the market goes on a massive 10-year bull run, you miss out on all of that compounding growth because your money is sitting as dead cash in a state vault. Second, the moment those funds are transferred to the state's unclaimed property fund, they are completely removed from the ERISA retirement system. That tax-advantaged shield evaporates. This forced liquidation can immediately trigger a taxable event, leaving you with an unexpected tax bill from the IRS for an account you didn't even know was being liquidated. The state legally confiscates your wealth simply because you forgot to update your mailing address. Not all freezes are initiated by the government or algorithms. Sometimes the freeze comes directly from the corporate suite, and it can happen at the absolute worst time. This is known as a 401k blackout period or a corporate freeze. The decision to freeze a 401k is made entirely by company management. This usually happens during corporate mergers or when a company decides to switch their 401k administration from one financial provider to another. During a corporate freeze, your account is completely locked. You cannot take out a 401k loan. You cannot withdraw your money. Most dangerously, you cannot change your investment allocations. Now imagine this scenario. Your company announces a 401k freeze that will last for 6 weeks while they transition to a new brokerage. 2 weeks into the freeze, a global economic crisis hits. The stock market begins to crash, plummeting 5%, then 10%, then 20%. If you had access to your account, you might move your funds into bonds, cash, or stable value funds to protect your wealth. But because your account is frozen by corporate management, you are forced to sit on the sidelines, completely paralyzed, watching your life savings evaporate in real time. There are virtually no legal restrictions on how long these freezes can last. Management can freeze your account indefinitely while they sort out their corporate transitions. We have covered the dark side of the system, the IRS levies, the algorithmic debanking, the state escheatment confiscations, and the corporate blackouts. But you are not powerless. The wealthy do not leave their assets exposed to these vulnerabilities, and neither should you. It's time to switch from defense to offense. Here is the step-by-step master playbook to build an impenetrable fortress around your retirement accounts. The easiest way to fall victim to state escheatment or a corporate blackout is to leave your money behind in old 401k plans. If you do not work for the company anymore, they should not control your money. The moment you leave an employer, execute a direct trustee-to-trustee rollover of your 401k into an individual retirement account, IRA, that you personally control. A direct rollover ensures the money never touches your hands, meaning there are no tax penalties. By moving the money to an IRA, you completely eliminate the risk of corporate blackouts, and you guarantee that your contact information is tied directly to you, severely reducing the risk of escheatment. Remember the algorithmic debanking we talked about? If the AI flags you, it freezes everything under that institution's umbrella. The solution is absolute compartmentalization. Never keep your primary checking account, your business account, and your retirement accounts at the same financial institution. Keep your operational cash at a local credit union or a regional bank. Keep your IRA at a major dedicated brokerage firm. Keep your emergency savings at a completely separate online bank. If an algorithm incorrectly flags a transaction in your checking account and freezes it, your retirement funds remain completely untouched and accessible because they exist in a separate institutional ecosystem. If you ever run into tax trouble, the absolute worst thing you can do is ignore the IRS. They don't just go away, they escalate. Before the IRS can legally levy your 401k or IRA, they are required by law to send you a final notice of intent to levy. From the moment you receive that letter, the clock starts ticking. You have exactly 30 days to act. Within those 30 days, you must immediately file for a collection due process, CDP, hearing. Filing this request acts as an emergency brake. It legally halts the levy and prevents them from freezing or seizing your retirement account while the hearing is pending. During this time, you can negotiate an installment agreement or an offer in compromise. If paying the tax would literally leave you unable to afford basic living expenses, you can have a tax attorney file for CNC, currently not collectible status. If granted, the IRS must completely pause their collection efforts, shielding your retirement accounts from seizure. The key is acting within that 30-day window. If you are deeply concerned about the digital nature of the banking system, where a single keystroke can freeze digital stocks and bonds, you need to look into a self-directed IRA, or SDIRA. Standard IRAs force you to hold digital paper assets, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds held in street name by the brokerage. A self-directed IRA allows you to use your retirement funds to purchase tangible hard assets. You can buy physical real estate, physical gold and silver, private business equity, and even agricultural land, all while maintaining the tax-advantaged status of a retirement account. It is incredibly easy for an algorithm to freeze a digital stock portfolio. It is infinitely harder for a bank to seize or freeze a physical piece of real estate or a vault of precious metals that your IRA legally owns. This strategy requires strict adherence to IRS rules. You cannot live in the real estate your IRA buys, for example, but it removes your wealth from the fragile, highly regulated digital banking matrix. While ERISA protects your 401k from private creditors, IRAs do not share the exact same federal protection. IRA protections vary wildly depending on what state you live in. In some states, IRAs are heavily protected. In others, they are wide open to lawsuits and creditors. To create the ultimate shield, wealthy individuals utilize irrevocable trusts. By structuring your estate planning to name a properly drafted trust as a beneficiary, or by utilizing specialized asset protection trusts, depending on your jurisdiction, you separate your personal liability from your assets. If you are sued, the plaintiff is suing you, not the trust. While a trust won't magically stop the IRS, it creates a devastatingly complex legal barrier against lawsuits, divorce settlements, and private creditors attempting to freeze your life's work. The financial system we operate in today is brilliant, fast, and efficient, but it is also ruthless. It is governed by algorithms that lack empathy, tax codes that demand payment, and legal loopholes designed to reclaim your wealth if you stop paying attention. Your retirement account is not a set-it-and-forget-it vault. It is an active portfolio that requires your constant vigilance. Consolidate your old accounts, compartmentalize your banks, update your beneficiaries and your mailing addresses every single year to starve off state escheatment. And never, ever ignore a letter from the IRS. You spent your entire life trading your time and your labor to build that wealth. Do not let bureaucratic red tape or a line of AI code take it away from you in the final hour. If this deep dive opened your eyes to the realities of the modern banking system, please hit the like button so this video can reach the people who desperately need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more uncompromising financial analysis, and share this with your friends and family. Until next time, protect your wealth, stay vigilant, and stay free.